Oh yeah, before I forget to do it. New studio, who dis? For $3,000 and only 2 weeks of prep, spent 3 weeks going all around Japan. That's a gross face. They're already red-faced naturally and it looks like he's about to bite mine. Is somebody gonna chew it for me too? Everything here is automated. We know you're American. We could hear you down the hallway. It was really fun to go out and drink with everybody, and well, I didn't actually go out. I barely made it 100 yards and still managed to pass out. So I guess I didn't really do a lot, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. If I don't hurry up and go out and do something, I'll be 3 days into my time in the Kansai region, and I've really just seen the inside of a bathroom and an izakaya in Kobe. So I'm really motivated today to get out and do something. Because I've been having such a good time with everybody here at the share house, this morning isn't honestly all about me. I want to spend more time with them. I am only here for a couple days and I want as much of it with them as possible, but they've already gone to school and gone to work and I don't have their phone numbers. My phone wouldn't work here anyway. So what I recommend doing if you want to get a hold of people in a country you go to, because you need to recognize that their schedule is not the same as yours. They still have to get up and do their responsibilities. You're free, right? So you can do things like research ahead of time what social media networks are popular in that country, because trust me, it's not Facebook everywhere. It isn't Instagram everywhere. As I would learn later, not soon enough for this morning, Line Messenger was the way to go here in Japan. I figured at least email's universal, so I put my email on a piece of paper right on my door and said, hey, Anthony's gonna be in Kyoto today, email him here if you wanna do anything. And that's the best I can do, because I gotta get over and see Kinkaku-ji. Traveling from Osaka to Kyoto is nothing notable, but getting off the train in Kyoto is. The station at Kyoto is massive. I mean, it is cavernous. I mean, it's probably like 5 stories tall indoors. It's unlike any other structure I've been in. I mean, you can see a multi-story mall, all these very modern, very designed aspects from an architectural perspective, which is pretty funny, all things considered, because the tracks are pretty low-key by comparison. It's kind of funny how quickly your emotions can shift. Like, I'm here in awe of this train station. As soon as I step out, I'm in a different kind of awe, almost a disdain for the Japanese summer heat. It is hot in Kyoto today, by far the hottest day so far. I'm checking out the map that is telling me I have a lot of walking ahead of me. You know, there are a lot of things that people warn you about as being challenging in Japan. Of course, the language barrier, weird foods, particularly if you're a vegan, it makes it very hard, but it's the heat. The heat is what people constantly talk about. It's crazy warm and there's insane humidity. So what do you do with it? Well, I'll be honest with you, you just gotta deal with it because it's not gonna get any better. Especially if you've got a day pack like me, like I'm just gonna perpetually have a sweaty back. So it could behoove you to have a backpack that you can just kind of carry as a bag on the side, or bring a separate shirt to change into halfway through the day. At the risk of making this sound more like a weather report on the heat of Japan, it's really important to know the value of having a day pack on you. Not only can you go to any of the readily available vending machines for drinks when it's hot out, but you need to be prepared to not have one ready. And a day pack can carry what I prefer is the best way to carry water, is these very large Suntory bottles of water. And mine carries 2 at a time. There's no way I'm ever gonna be thirsty. So the train station in Kyoto is a bit more central, but I need to go to the northwest corner for Kinkaku-ji. So I have to take another local train, no big deal, 10 minutes. And real close to there is a north-south street I can walk directly to the temple. So this is gonna be really easy. During this trip, with retrospect available to me, I see I've actually learned something that made the trip way better and has enhanced my trips since then. If you travel and you have enough money to pay for taxis, Ubers, yada 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 to go everywhere, you're kind of min-maxing your time, but you're also trading off something that you might find along the way. And unintentionally, I learned that lesson today probably more than any other, where instead of taking the bus on the very easy to navigate straight shot, I decided to walk it. And I found some pretty awesome stuff along the way that was nowhere near on my plan for the day. So along this innocuous straight northbound walk, there's another huge temple near Kinkaku-ji that I had no idea. I mean, you're just kind of doing normal city blocks and all of a sudden there's this beautiful wall that is very clearly something cool on the other side. So beyond this wall is Hirano-jinja Shrine, a huge complex that I honestly had no idea even existed, and it reminds me a lot of Itsukushima Island, where I was able to go up into that complex as well. The grounds of Hirano-jinja are very clearly cherry blossoms. I'm too late in the year to see them, but honestly, there are gorgeous opportunities here if you come in the spring. But for now, it's a bit overgrown in a couple places, and you can see how that affects the experience when you walk in, because there's 2 hand cleansing stations. One of them is closer to the main walk, but the other one's a little bit further back, and it's pretty cool to kind of go where I'm not seeing anybody else walk and have a little bit quieter of an experience. The rest of Hirano-jinja is 3 major areas. I mean, I'm in the biggest one, the whole most of the city block that's walled in. And then you have an outer and an inner cloister. And when you walk through the gate into the outer cloister, there's this huge, very clearly revered tree. It has Shinto talismans hung on a rope around it, and even this very interesting platform you can walk around the tree. And then you have other shrine structures, etc. And then you can see this very elaborate wall further in that is the divider into the inner cloister. And it is clear to me it's closed off and I won't be able to go inside, but I'm hoping I can see some pretty stuff anyway. So as I move through this outer cloister toward the inner wall, it's very clear how much detail is in this area. I mean, it feels like the end of every single log has this elaborate brass covering on it. I mean, there's exposed wood everywhere, but not on the ends, and everything has it. And I can see there's even more details when you get past that wall. I mean, in the outer cloister, there's the tree, there's a large shrine in the middle, but on the inner cloister, it looks like a very small and intimate space on the far left. It looks like there's almost quarters of some kind for personnel on the far right, and then a much larger shrine in the middle. It's unfortunately all closed up, so it's hard to tell what's what, but I did manage to sneak a few photos through the fence to at least capture what I was seeing, even if I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at. This shrine really stands out to me for all the fine details. I mean, it felt like I could zoom in on anything and have something very interesting to look at. And that's been a very pleasant experience with this shrine, because I haven't seen one in quite a few days, and even honestly, the last ones I saw were a lot smaller. So this feels like a wholly different experience from any one that I've seen so far. So it's time to go. I still have to get food. It's a little afternoon, and Kinkaku-ji is only like 5 blocks away. But while Kinkaku-ji is the Golden Temple, about 3 blocks away are the Golden Arches. It turns out that there is a very modern McDonald's right nearby. And now that might sound like a bit of an odd statement to you, a modern McDonald's. Well, modern. Isn't McDonald's kind of modern anyway? Let's talk about the unique features of this McDonald's. So while this isn't my first McDonald's of the trip, it is the first one I've seen that has such a huge parking lot. I mean, this is like 2 or 3 times the size of any I've seen so far for a store this size. It has a drive-through, which I can't think of a single time I've even seen one of, so that's totally new, but not as new as seeing a McDonald's with 2 stories. There's stairs inside of this McDonald's. I really hope the menu is like super special to match how unique this one is, because I am starving. With 2 unplanned stops added to my day already, I gotta get going to the main attraction. It's only 3 blocks away, and it is the Golden Temple of Kyoto, Kinkaku-ji. As I walk over to the area, it's actually open to the public. At the beginning, you can walk onto the grounds no problem, and probably a few hundred yards in is where the ticket booth is. You could go by and see some beautiful stuff without actually going in and spending money. So Kinkaku-ji is not just a temple. It is a whole series of grounds. I mean, this is a huge estate. There's lots to see here. And so as you enter the grounds and you see all these beautifully manicured gardens, eventually you get to the ticket counter and you buy your ticket to go into the area itself. I mean, a lot of that's already just readily available. What could be beyond? Once you have your ticket, there's this kind of winding walled pathway deeper into the grounds. And it's designed so that you can't see anything outside of what's right in front of you until the big reveal. As this wall continues on, this wall stops, you turn and you see Kinkaku-ji shining brightly on the other side of the pond. This is what you came here to see. This is the resplendent and golden temple of Kyoto. Now, while there is this beautiful temple across the pond here to look at, you do have to do a lot of maneuvering to get space because there's not a lot of it for all of the people there. And if you want a photo of it or a photo of you in front of it, you kind of have to treat it like a concert and have somebody run interference or part the crowd for you, which is luckily what happened for me because someone saw that I was alone and offered to take my photo, which is really nice. I honestly don't have a whole lot of photos of myself from this trip. Kinkaku-ji is so much more than just the temple itself. It's so much about the grounds and the area. I mean, this was a private estate. It was designed to be experienced in a myriad of ways. Off to the left of the front view of the temple, there's this amazing moss-ridden gate that has a lot of Japanese people in front of it in yukata and other traditional dress taking photos. It feels very appropriate for where I am right now. The design of the experience at Kinkaku-ji is meant to take advantage of the grounds that I've talked about. So there's a path that goes off to the right and you kind of start to rotate around the temple itself. New angles, which helps a lot during the day. You can see different sides of the temple illuminated with its reflections off the sun. And as you continue on around Kinkaku-ji to the back end of it, the grounds kind of close up a bit. There's a lot more of almost a forest-like feel to it. And back here is where I'm running into all of the school children. I mean, there are, again, just like Itsukushima, there are these large groups of kids with the little yellow hats on, so I'm here on a busy day. Moving around behind Kinkaku-ji, you transition away from the temple itself, which is really beautifully designed as you find yourself hidden in trees. The temple slowly fades behind it and you see less of the sun illuminated side. So it's almost like the temple dulls a little bit, which is, I don't know if it's intentional, but it was a really neat effect. And off the left side of this trail, there are a couple natural springs coming out of the rock face with still a trickle of water. They have surely been around for a very long time. And it's really neat to just kind of stop and contemplate how much of this rock has been carved out by this tiny stream of water over time. And while I'm contemplating this student comes up to me and they start talking to me in English. Now, if you're not aware, English is taught very early on in the education system in Japan. So it's honestly not that shocking that a young student's talking to me in English, but it is kind of interesting that they would be not bold, but courageous enough to talk to a foreigner. After the nice formal introduction with the student, they asked me, can I understand a bit more about why you're in Japan? What do you find interesting about it? Why are you at Kinkaku-ji today? And then kind of a general question of, so what about Japan really interests you? What makes it special or stand out to you? I could have given any number of answers about why Japan is special. It's neat with its very different culture, its beautiful natural landscapes, the kind of mythological buildup it's had from my childhood. But it was in that moment, in that space at Kinkaku-ji, that was really the truth of why Japan was so intriguing and still is to me. Next to the student and I, there is this little bench, and it's clearly there to just sit, relax, and take in this natural spring. But what's interesting about this bench is it has clearly been there forever. I mean, it is not completely rotted out, but it has just all those signs of being very, very old. In the moment of answering is dawning on me just how incredible it is to be in a country that has literally ancient history. I'm not saying that America doesn't have ancient history, but the difference between Native Americans and modern Americans has a very strong divide. If you look at the modern history of America, it doesn't go back that far. This bench is older than my whole country, pre-even its inception, from the point the settlers arrived. I can't think of anything in America that is considered ancient. I mean, at best, you go back to like brick buildings, the brownstones of Boston and Philadelphia. It's only like 400, 500 years at most. Okay, that's pretty cool. But is it 800-year-old bench that's completely innocuous compared to the incredibly beautiful things that are hundreds of years older than even that? Does it even compare to businesses that are still run by the same family after hundreds of years? It's very profound and it's very hard to describe. So it was very hard to describe to the student through the language barrier. But I really appreciated that he listened and heard out what I had to say. And as he repeated back to me his take on it, I could tell that I got the general gist across. As you continue on through the Kinkaku-ji grounds, there's still more trails, but you start working your way up a hill, and there's this incredible overlook where you can see the roof of Kinkaku-ji, and there's tons of people there with giant lenses. No tripods though. There's a sign, no tripods. But you can still take your awesome cameras and get these great photos. I have a little point and shoot with pretty decent optical and pretty decent digital zoom, so I got some nice shots of the rooster on top illuminated by the sun. But there's no way I can keep up with these amazing cameras. So I'm gonna move on because there's still plenty of stuff to see in Kyoto today. After half a battery's worth of photos taken into the Golden Temple, it's time for me to move on. And I have a few options ahead of me, but not time to do all of them. There's the Philosopher's Path on the east side of Kyoto. There's the Nintendo headquarters, which honestly, I don't even know where it's at yet. There's the Arashiyama bamboo forest, and in the Arashiyama area, there's a bunch of monkeys. So I think, given all things, I think the monkeys are gonna be the way to go. I can probably see the sunset over the city at the same time, and that'll maximize what little sunlight I still have. Now I've decided to go see the monkeys at Arashiyama. It's back down the same exact street I took to Kinkaku-ji, to the same exact train station, but this time I'm going west. The train ride was super easy, but the name of the neighborhood I've landed at is not. Not yet at Arashiyama. I'm at Sagaten Ryuji Tsukimi-michi. I say Sagaten Ryuji Sukurumi-chicho. And it's Sagaten Ryuji Sukurimi-cho. No, fuck, I missed one. Sagaten Ryuji Tsukirimi-chicho. There it is. Got it. To get over to Arashiyama, you have to cross the Tagetsuyo Bridge, which is a pretty huge one, honestly. I mean, by comparison to a lot of the ones I've gone across, with 2 lanes of pedestrian traffic and 2 lanes of vehicle traffic. And I can see why. The approach is stunning upriver. There are boats that look like dragons that you can rent and be taken upstream, and then the river diverts into Arashiyama with almost like a Venetian canal feel to it. And I get to cross through all of this and find my way up to the bottom of the mountain where it says, monkeys, that way, which isn't the greatest amount of directions because this doesn't seem as paved as the last mountain I went up. After a few switchbacks up the mountain, the monkeys actually aren't too far away, but you have plenty of time to prepare because there are signs everywhere. Don't look at the monkeys. They really don't like it. I mean, that's a gross face. They're already red-faced naturally, and it looks like he's about to bite mine. So I don't know why you'd have those warnings, right? Like, it's like a zoo. They're behind a cage, right? Getting to the top of the area, it becomes very clear why those signs were there. There is no cage. There are monkeys everywhere. At best, you are the monkey cage. In fact, there's a little hut, house, administrative building you can go in that is just full of chicken wire, essentially. That you go in, they give you little pieces of fruit, nuts, whatever, and you can feed the monkeys through the cage. Which, it sounds really cool until you realize you're just kind of trapping yourself inside of a confined space, surrounded by monkeys on all sides who want what you have. Surely this would not be open if there was a problem, but certainly the closest I've ever gotten to the zoo exhibits themselves. This monkey park provided 2 really incredible things for me. It is Kyoto laid out in front of you, and I got to see it as the sun was setting. That's pretty amazing. And there aren't many spots you can make it up a mountain where there's a space through the trees. Don't miss it for that. But also, you can see these monkeys in their natural environment doing just whatever they want. And there are a couple of photos that I took here of a mother and her baby, and the baby's playing, that are just... I'm no National Geographic photographer, but I felt like I had the opportunity to take that kind of photo. That was really special to me. The sun setting is a good reminder that I'm running out of time in the day. I have plans for tonight. I am going out for what looks to be the nicest dinner of the trip so far. I've been emailing back and forth with Hiroyuki and Kumiko all day. They thankfully responded to the note I left on my door, and we're going out for conveyor belt sushi, something that my 2015 self hadn't had yet and was very confused why you would put sushi on a conveyor belt. Once I'm back at the share house in Osaka, I meet up with Kumiko and Hiroyuki, and we're off to the restaurant. And on our way there, it strikes me, It's very uncommon for me to be in someone's personal vehicle in the city. And from what I understand, Hiroyuki is one of only a handful of people at the whole share house with his own car. So this is a really special experience for me. Once we're at the sushi place and we're waiting around, I'm just kind of taking it all in and talking with the two of them. But then I kind of noticed that it doesn't seem like there are many waiters or waitresses walking around. That's kind of confusing to me. Everybody's got food, so I'm not sure how this works. But once we get to our table, it's just like that izakaya from before. There's a tablet to order on, except this is even more feature rich. So if you've got a tablet and you already have automatic delivery of sushi, how does it come to you? Well, this restaurant has thought of that already, and they've gotten an extra level of efficiency. And by extra level, I mean literally another level of sushi. There are 2 conveyor belts stacked on top of each other. And the way it works is, you can just grab something that comes along on the bottom, right? It's pretty standard sushi and different types of food. Grab what you want, eat it, stack it. Great. However, if you want something specific, you can order it on the tablet and it comes along the top conveyor belt. And because the system knows where you ordered from, it will stop the conveyor belt with your plate right at your table and ding a bell to tell you your food has arrived. I mean, geez. Is somebody gonna chew it for me too? Everything here is automated. So there's a couple quirks about going to conveyor belt sushi, not the least of which is, where are the price tags? Well, the way it works is that each plate the food is on, sushi or otherwise, is colored, and each color has a cost. So how you keep track of your meal so far is you eat the food, take the plate, and stack it over here. And by stack, I mean big stacks. And at the end, the waiter or waitress comes by and totals up how much money you owe based on how many plates you have. Out to dinner with these two, I feel, for lack of a better word, very special. The dinner wasn't my idea. I was invited out. Once again, I've become so lucky to meet these people on my trip that want to do something with me. I'm not begging to go out. I'm not saying, hey, as a traveler, please give me, while I have the one opportunity, a moment of your time. Like, I'm very grateful to these two and everyone in Osaka for giving me so much of their time, because I felt like I was included in what they would be doing anyways. No one feels performative. Everyone just feels like they're happy to include me, and I'm really happy to be included. After doubling my weight at the sushi restaurant, it's time to get back to the share house. I mean, I need to sleep eventually, and I'm buzzing just a little bit, a little louder than I am even naturally. I'm laughing and carrying on with Hiroyuki and Kumiko as we come down the hallway, and when we turn into the shared area, there are a couple of gentlemen there who are not Japanese. Now, going into the common space with a couple other travelers means, I should introduce myself. I'd like to hear about them, and so we go around the room and we learn about John and Josh, and they're coming from Australia. They're originally from the UK. Everybody else introduces themselves. I'm like, all right, yeah, well, my name's Anthony. I'm from the United States, and I've been here for a couple weeks. And they turn to me in the most glorious way, and they go, yeah, I know, dude. We know you're American. We could hear you down the hallway. Which, as you travel, you will learn pretty quickly what stereotypes there are about you and the country you come from when you run into other people who give you that mirrored perspective. And frankly, that's fair. I'm pretty loud, and a lot of Americans are, so they got me pretty good there. Going to bed early is super hard. I have to be responsible. If I stay down here and hang out with all my friends, I'll be up too late, I won't get my rest, probably figure out how well I can handle soju again, so it is time to go. John and Josh had the right idea. They checked out early. I should probably take that lead. As I lay down to sleep tonight, I have a very different feeling than usual. I feel like I'm living in Japan, not just passing through. It's the first time I've felt that this trip, and it is totally in thanks to all the people here in Osaka, at the share house, Kumiko, Hiroyuki, Sawako, everyone. This has been a truly special time here, and I am just really excited, really happy, and really grateful. Tomorrow is my last day in the Kansai region, and for all the places I've been, Kobe, Kyoto, the floor of the bathroom here at the share house, I haven't actually gone out into the city of Osaka, and the day after, I'm heading to the far north of the country, far from here, and all I can think about is my friends. I want to make sure I spend the last moments I have in Osaka with the people who made it as amazing as it was for me. From expat bars to perikara, and I have no idea what to expect.